Who cares? Caring when it seems like no one else does. That's actually a very special power, a power that makes a difference in many people's lives. It's hard when it always seems like it's up to you. But if it seems like no one cares, remember, they do, you do, and we do. We're talking about caring next.
Welcome to the Educators Among Us podcast, where we share motivational messages and inspiring stories for and about educators. Your host, Scott Barron, is author of the critically acclaimed book, Love 'Em and Lead 'Em, and provides powerful insights and wisdom for those who heed the call to teach, coach, lead, and serve at all levels of education.
This is Scott Barron, and I'm honored to be your host for the Educators Among Us podcast. We just love to share inspiration and insight for anyone and everyone who answers the call to be in the classroom, to be on the athletic field, on the stage, in the office, in the boardroom, in the classroom, in the hallway, everywhere, at all levels. There's so many people who are part of the educational experience of education systems. And we're thankful that you care enough, that you're dedicated to this cause and the calling to be an educator. Because educators, right? Talented, energized, engaged educators, they change the world. They change the world because why? Because they care. They care deeply. And sometimes, there's a question that's asked from some folks when sometimes they're expressing their opinion, or in certain scenarios they say, well, who cares? Right? Well, it's important that we know that there are people in this world who care enough, who care to make a difference, right? And that's what's so exciting about, of course, our work. I love this quote from Fred Rogers where he said, "We live in a world in which we need shared responsibility." It's easy to say, it's not my child, not my community, not my world, not my problem. Right? Then there are those who see the need and respond. I consider those people my heroes, right? It's Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers. And this quote here, it's so powerful, so meaningful. Right? And it's such an encapsulation, of course, of his influence in his life, which was how much he cared. Right? But I consider those people who care, those who see the need and respond, or those people are my heroes. And educators, they have that chance, right? And those that step into that calling, that need, who care, they often begin with the end. That's advice that's given to sustain perspective, right? As we choose our actions, as we choose how we're going to use our time and our resources and our energy, there's an opportunity and a need to recognize that, if you remember the bigger picture, if you're not lost in what's kind of happening in the immediate time, and we sustain perspective over perception, right? We're not lost in what we're seeing, feeling, hearing, and instead we remember who we are, remember our calling, remember why we're here. We begin with the end, and in the end, we know that we're not going to be judged by the quality of our education. They say you can't take it with you, right? Well, you can't take your degrees with you either. You can't take your books, whether you're books that you read or you've written. You can't take it with you, and you're not going to be judged by how smart you are, by your report card or by your transcript. That's not. In the end, there's something that matters more. In the end, we will not be judged by the quality of our work. Right? We're not going to be judged by how much we did and our productivity and all the things that, the milestones and the projects or anything else. It's not really going to matter, right? In the end, we're not going to be remembered by anything else than how much we cared. right? How much we cared, how much we made a difference in people's lives. And of course, that's the privilege of being able to be in the field of education, is we get to pour into people's lives. First, our colleagues, and being able to care about who they are and where they are and how we make our team and our people better. We make them better through our commitment, through our model, through our example, and our ability to resolve conflict, and our ability to be there and be ready, right? That's what matters. And of course, it's something that's captured in this another favorite quote from William Arthur Ward, who said, three keys to more abundant living: caring about others, daring for others, and sharing with others, right? Caring about others, daring for others, and sharing with others. Who cares, right? Now, you can think of it maybe this way. When we think of caring, we can kind of break it down, right? Cares, who cares? C-A-R-E-S, right? And that C would be for compassionate, right? We see how another is actually experiencing life. And that's what compassion is, right? Is we're not caught up in our own world. We're not so self-centered, but instead we're sensitive. We see what's going on. We see in other people. We don't see past them. We see in them. We see them. And that's a powerful part of the role of an educator, of course, is we don't get lost in our curriculum or in our work or in our tasks, but instead we see them. We have that compassion, right? That we also are active. The A is for active, right? We actually enjoy finding ways to do for others. We look for things that we can do, and we're not going to look past their needs, but instead we're looking for their needs, right? We enjoy finding those ways to make a difference actively. We don't just talk about it, we do it. That R, right? The R is we're ready. We actually, those who care, they plan to be available. They plan, they actually budget their time and their resources to be there, to be ready on call. And generosity doesn't happen by accident. Care happens by preparation. And so we want to make sure that as we move in throughout this year, that we remember the need to be ready, right? We have to be effective. The E in care is effective. It's ensuring that the right things get done. It's not just doing the things that we see would solve the problem, but it's what they see. We're effective in how we find ways to resolve and solve the problem. And sometimes that's, it's finding creative ways, and it's finding things that maybe they're actually uncomfortable. Because why? Because the S in cares is we're strong, right? So we have a compassion, we're active, we're ready, we're effective, and we're strong, which means that we withstand the temptation to compromise our virtues and our values. Right? We stand strong. We resist that temptation to get too busy. We resist that temptation to say, it's not my job. That's not what I do. That's somebody else's job. That's not my kid. That's not my responsibility. Instead, we take ownership, and we're strong enough to know when it's time to use a wisdom, right? To know how to meet the needs. We care. Why should I care when no one else does? Asked Craig Lounsborough. For the simple reason that the most critical time to care is when no one else does. Right? That's like we're not just following the mob. We're not just following what everybody else is doing. We actually care when no one else does. We step into the moment and meet the need. How cool is that? Who cares? Right? It's a powerful question. In the end, we're not going to be accountable for all those other things, but we will be accountable. We know we will be accountable for how we care. I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me a drink. I was a stranger. You welcomed me. I needed clothes and you gave me some. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me. Within the context of educators, I was confused, and you guided me. I was lonely, and you connected with me. I was hurting. You comforted me. I needed to learn, and you taught me. I was lagging behind, and you pushed me. That's the joy of being an educator. We care. So my encouragement for you this week, my friend, is be someone's hero. Be someone's hero this week, using your incredible talents to genuinely care, right? Step into that moment, meeting those needs and care. Hey, thank you for what you do. You are a blessing to a lot of people. Some you don't even know. Some that you may learn about after the end of time, where they come up to you and say, "Man, you have no idea what a difference you made in my life, because I was watching you, because you cared, and I could tell that you cared, and I learned from you, and I actually applied that in my life as a parent, or as a student, or as a teacher myself." Hey, thank you for being a role model for me, right? That's the impact of educators. And so we're so excited to be a part of your journey. It's a privilege. And so we encourage you to keep the faith. It's hard work, and it's work that there's a lot of things that want to tear us away from that calling, and want to kind of sap our energy and cause us to focus on other things. But thank you. Thank you for sustaining that compassion, for taking the action, for being ready, for being effective, and for being strong. It matters. Hey, as you go through this week, a question to consider to provide some perspective, right? Did I do my best to share responsibility today? Did I do my best to share responsibility today? Love them and lead them, my friend. This is Scott.
Thank you for joining us for the Educators Among Us podcast, and for your courageous commitment to this noble calling. We get you and the challenges of this work. To stay connected with this community, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and weekly encouragement at educatorsamongus.com.